The grand chamber of the Galactic Council floated in perfect silence. Thousands of lights glowed in the dark ceiling, each one marking a different star system. In the center of the chamber, a blue hologram of Earth slowly turned. Oceans shimmered. Clouds moved gently. It looked peaceful. But the mood in the chamber was not peaceful. Representatives from hundreds of alien species sat in their hovering seats. Some were tall and thin with silver skin. Others were covered in scales or soft fur. A few did not even have physical bodies, only glowing shapes of energy. All of them were watching Earth. At the highest platform stood High Chancellor Varric, leader of the Council. His voice echoed across the chamber. Humans of Earth have shown rapid expansion, unstable behavior, and repeated internal conflict. Their history proves aggression. Their future remains unpredictable. A low murmur spread through the chamber. The hologram changed. Images appeared: human wars, explosions, protests, divided governments, news headlines filled with anger and fear. Varric continued, calm but firm. Such a species cannot be left without supervision. For their own safety, and for the safety of the galaxy, we propose immediate protective oversight. The word sounded gentle. Protective. Helpful. But everyone understood what they really meant. Control. Earth would no longer act freely in space. Human fleets would be monitored. Their technology would be limited. Council officers would be placed near human territory. Protection. From themselves. Near the center platform stood a single human. Ambassador Ilara Vance. She wore a simple dark uniform with the symbol of Earth on her chest. She did not move. She did not speak. She simply watched as her planet rotated above her. Another council member spoke. Humans are emotional. They fight each other constantly. Another added, they develop weapons faster than diplomacy. A third voice echoed, their expansion speed is concerning. In 2 centuries, they have crossed territories that took us thousands of years. The accusations continued. Too violent. Too divided. Too dangerous. Ilara finally lifted her eyes toward the council. She did not look angry. She looked curious. The Chancellor raised his hand. The vote will begin. Lights appeared around the chamber. One by one, they turned green. Approved. 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 The glowing circle spread wider and wider until almost the entire chamber shone green. Only a few lights remained dark. The motion passes, Varric announced. Earth will be placed under galactic protection effective immediately. Silence followed. It was done. Humanity had just been declared incapable of handling its own future. All eyes turned to Ilara. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then something unexpected happened. She laughed. It was not loud. It was not angry. It was a small, calm laugh. But in that silent chamber, it sounded like thunder. The green lights flickered slightly. Chancellor Varric narrowed his glowing eyes. Ambassador Vance, do you find this decision amusing? Ilara looked around slowly at the many alien faces. Her expression was almost gentle. I am trying to understand, she said softly. Understand what? Varric demanded. Ilara folded her hands behind her back. You say humanity needs protection. She paused, glancing at the rotating image of Earth. Protection from who? A ripple of discomfort passed through the chamber. Varric responded quickly. From your own instability. Ilara tilted her head slightly. Our wars? Our arguments? Our mistakes? She nodded once. Yes. We have many. The hologram above shifted again, showing images of human disaster, world wars, pandemics, cities in ruin. Ilara's voice remained calm. And yet, we are still here. The chamber grew quieter. She stepped forward one slow step. Every time we fall, we rise stronger. Every time we divide, we rebuild. A few council members shifted in their seats. Elara looked directly at the Chancellor. You fear our chaos. She glanced around the room. But chaos is how we grow. The room felt different now. Less certain. Varric straightened. This is not about fear. Elara's eyes sharpened slightly. No. She turned and touched a small control device on her wrist. The hologram flickered. The image of Earth disappeared. And something else began to appear. But before it fully formed, Elara looked back at the council and smiled faintly. If you truly believe we are weak, she said quietly, then maybe you should have studied us more carefully. The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the new hologram began to take shape. And for the first time since the vote, the Galactic Council felt unsure about their decision. The new hologram finished forming above the chamber floor. It was not a planet. It was not a war scene. It was a fleet. Hundreds of human ships floated in silent formation. Sleek. Dark. Powerful. Their hulls carried no bright colors, no aggressive symbols. Only a small blue emblem of Earth. The chamber grew still. Chancellor Varric's voice lowered. What is this? Elara looked up at the projection with calm pride. This, she said, is what you did not see. The ships rotated slowly in the air. Data panels appeared beside them, energy output, shield capacity, deep space range. The numbers were not small. Several council members began whispering in their native languages. These fleets were not registered, one delegate said sharply. They were not required to be, Elara replied. Varric's eyes narrowed. You built a military force in secret? Elara shook her head. Not in secret. Quietly. She stepped closer to the center of the chamber. When pirates attacked our outer colonies, we responded. The hologram shifted. It showed human cargo ships under fire in deep space. Then human defense ships arriving. Organized. Fast. Precise. When a rogue species threatened our mining stations, we defended them. The image changed again. Human ships moving as one unit. Not reckless. Not chaotic. Calm and controlled. We learned, Elara continued. We adapted. Another council member stood. Your history shows constant internal conflict. Yes, Elara said without hesitation. We argue. We disagree. We fight among ourselves. She looked directly at the speaker. But when an external threat appears, we unite. The hologram zoomed out. More ships appeared. Hidden shipyards near asteroid belts. Defense stations placed at the edge of human territory. Long-range scanners stretching far beyond Earth's solar system. The scale was impossible to ignore. Varric's voice was quieter now. This level of expansion was not reported. Elara gave a small smile. You did not ask. The chamber felt heavier. For years, the Council had believed humans were still adjusting to space travel. A young species. Emotional. Disorganized. But this fleet did not look young. It looked prepared. One of the elder species spoke slowly. If you possess this strength, why not reveal it? Elara folded her hands calmly in front of her. Because we do not build power to impress others. She looked around the room. We build it to survive. The hologram shifted once more. This time, it showed something unexpected. Rescue missions. Human ships pulling damaged alien vessels from collapsing stars. Medical ships helping distant colonies during plagues. Engineering teams stabilizing broken warp gates. Gasps spread across the chamber. You never mentioned these actions, Varric said. Ilara's expression softened slightly. You never noticed. Silence filled the space. For decades, humans had worked quietly beyond their borders. Trading. Helping. Observing. Learning alien technology and improving it with their own ideas. Fast learners. Fast builders. Fast adapters. One council member spoke nervously. This fleet could challenge the council itself. Ilara's eyes hardened slightly. It could. The chamber's temperature seemed to drop. But it has not. Her voice remained steady. We have never attacked another species without cause. She paused. But we will never allow anyone to limit our future. Varric looked up at the massive projection again. Your species is unpredictable. Ilara nodded. Yes. The honesty surprised many of them. We are unpredictable, she continued. Because we refuse to stay small. The hologram zoomed outward, showing human territory expanding like a growing constellation. In 2 centuries, we crossed distances you took 2,000 years to cross. She turned to the chamber. Not because we are reckless. Her eyes sharpened. But because we are not afraid. The words hung in the air. Fear. It was not human expansion that worried the council. It was human courage. Varric straightened himself. You are still a young species. Ilara met his gaze. Every species was young once. The fleet hologram slowly dimmed but did not disappear completely. It remained visible, silent proof. Ilara took one final step forward. You voted to protect Earth. Her voice was calm but firm. But perhaps you should first decide. She looked around at every alien leader watching her. Whether you are ready to live beside us as equals. The chamber remained silent. No one activated their lights. No one spoke. For the first time since the vote began, the Galactic Council realized something deeply unsettling. Humanity had never needed protection. Humanity had been preparing. The chamber did not return to normal after Ilara's revelation. The green lights of approval were still glowing above the seats, but now they looked uncertain, almost weak. The hologram of the human fleet remained suspended in the air like a silent warning. High Chancellor Varric raised his hand again, trying to regain control. This display changes nothing, he said firmly. The protection order stands. It is not an attack. It is a safeguard. Ilara looked at him calmly. A safeguard against what? Varric did not answer immediately. Another council delegate spoke instead. She was from a species known for logic and long memory. Human expansion is statistically unstable. In 200 years, you have increased your territory by 400%. No species has ever grown at that speed without causing war. Ilara nodded slowly. And have we caused war? The delegate hesitated. Not yet. A quiet murmur spread through the chamber. Ilara turned toward the central hologram and changed it again. This time, star maps appeared. Colored lines showed trade routes between Earth and many alien systems. Green lines marked peaceful agreements. Blue symbols marked shared research projects. We have signed more cooperation treaties than any young species in Council history, Ilara said simply. Another map appeared. This one showed military fleet movements from several Council species. Fleets positioned near human borders. Patrol routes increasing over the last 5 years. The room grew colder. You monitored us, Ilara continued softly. No one denied it. You tracked our colonies. You scanned our shipyards. You studied our technology. She turned back to them. And then you decided we were dangerous. Varric's voice sharpened. Power without supervision becomes threat. Ilara's eyes narrowed slightly. Is that what you believe? She expanded the map once more. It zoomed out farther than before, beyond council space. Beyond known trade zones. Beyond safe regions. There, at the edge of the projection, something flickered. Anomalies. Unstable space distortions. Dark regions where stars had vanished. Several council members shifted nervously. "You are not the only power in this galaxy," Elara said quietly. The room fell into absolute silence. 3 years ago, she continued, human explorers detected unknown signals beyond your border territories. A new image appeared, strange ships unlike any known council design. Their shapes were jagged. Their energy signatures unstable and violent. Gasps echoed in the chamber. "You knew," one delegate whispered. "Yes," Elara answered. Varric stepped forward. "Why was this not reported to the council?" Elara met his gaze evenly. "Because when we shared our early warnings about piracy, border threats, and black market weapons, we were told we were overreacting." Several delegates looked down. "We learned something," Elara continued. "If we want to survive, we prepare first. We talk later." The hologram zoomed in on the unknown ships. Recordings showed them attacking an uninhabited asteroid colony. Human defense fleets responding. Quick. Efficient. Controlled. "You fought them," Varric said quietly. "Yes." "Why did you not pursue them beyond the border?" Elara's answer was simple. "Because it was not our territory." The chamber grew even more uneasy. "You voted to protect Earth," she said softly. "But you did not ask what Earth has already been protecting." The realization moved across the chamber like a slow wave. Humans had been expanding fast. Yes. But not blindly. They had been building defenses for something larger. Varric's voice lowered, no longer proud, no longer firm. "You believe a greater threat is coming." Elara did not hesitate. "I do not believe." She tapped the control once more. The final image appeared, deep space coordinates with energy readings rising every month. "I know." The chamber lights dimmed slightly as the data scrolled. "If you place Earth under supervision," Elara said calmly, "you weaken the only border that has already faced them." Her voice was not angry. It was steady. "You fear our growth." She paused, letting the words settle. "But growth is not your real fear." She looked around the chamber slowly. "You are afraid we are preparing for something you refuse to see." No one spoke. No one activated their vote lights. For the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council understood something deeply uncomfortable. This vote was never about protecting humanity. It was about controlling the unknown. And now, the unknown was staring back at them. The chamber no longer felt powerful. It felt exposed. The image of the unknown ship still floated above them, dark and sharp against the stars. The energy readings beside them were rising slowly, like a storm building far away. High Chancellor Varric stood silent for a long moment before speaking. "If this threat is real," he said carefully, "then it is even more reason to place Earth under Council command. Unity requires leadership." Elara looked at him without emotion. "Unity does not require control." She stepped closer to the center of the chamber. The floor lights followed her movement, but the attention of the entire galaxy was already locked on her. "You believe placing us under supervision will make us safer," she continued. "But it will do the opposite." One of the military delegates spoke sharply. "Explain." Elara nodded once. "When humans feel protected, we cooperate." She paused. "When humans feel controlled, we resist." A quiet tension moved through the chamber. "You have studied our wars," she said. "You have seen our divisions." Images briefly flashed again, human protests, revolutions, resistance movements from centuries past. "What you may not fully understand," Elara continued, "is that humans fight hardest when someone tries to decide their future for them. Varric crossed his arms. Are you threatening rebellion? Elara shook her head calmly. I am warning you about a mistake. She gestured toward the unknown fleet projection. These ships do not care about your laws. They do not vote. They do not negotiate. The hologram zoomed in. The unknown ships fired beams of energy at empty space, tearing small asteroids apart with terrifying force. If they arrive at Council borders, she said quietly, they will not ask permission. Silence filled the chamber again. Elara's voice softened slightly. We have already lost 3 deep patrol stations defending that border. Gasps spread across the room. Those stations were human, she continued. Not because we wanted glory. Not because we wanted territory. She looked directly at Varric. But because we were closest. The Chancellor did not respond. If you place Earth under your command, Elara said, our fleets will become slower. Our decisions will require votes. Our movements will require approval. She let the meaning settle. And when the storm reaches your space, delay will cost lives. One of the elder delegates leaned forward. Why continue preparing alone? Why not share command? Elara considered the question. We are willing to share information, she answered. We are willing to coordinate defense. She paused. But we will not surrender our autonomy. Her eyes sharpened slightly. Because the moment humanity kneels, we stop being what makes us strong. Varric's voice was quieter now. And what makes you strong? Elara's answer came without hesitation. Choice. She expanded the hologram again. This time it showed Earth itself, cities alive with light. Spaceports busy with ships. Human workers building stations, farmers growing food on distant colonies, scientists testing new engines. We argue, she said softly. We question. We disagree. She looked around the chamber. But when something threatens our home, we stand together. Another image appeared, every major nation on Earth signing a unified defense pact after the first unknown attack. Old rivals standing side by side. You fear our chaos, Elara said again. But that chaos becomes unity under pressure. The chamber had no answer. Varric finally spoke. If we revoke the protection order, he said slowly, what assurance do we have that humanity will not one day turn its strength against us? Elara looked at him for a long time. If we intended to, she replied quietly, we would not be standing here asking permission. The weight of her words settled over the chamber. She deactivated the hologram of the human fleet, but the unknown ships remained visible. We do not seek domination, she said. We seek survival. She turned toward the dark edge of the star map. And survival will require speed, courage, and freedom. Elara took one final step back. You can vote to control us. She paused. Or you can stand beside us. The chamber remained silent. The protection order still glowed active in the system. But now it felt fragile. Because the Council was beginning to understand something dangerous. If they forced humanity into chains, they might weaken the only shield already standing between the galaxy and the coming storm. The chamber lights dimmed as the final debate began. No one spoke loudly anymore. The confidence that filled the room at the start of the vote was gone. In its place was something heavier. Doubt. High Chancellor Varric stood still, staring at the dark edge of the hologram where the unknown ships drifted like shadows. For centuries, he said slowly, this council has kept order. We have prevented wars. We have guided young species. He looked at Elara. And now we are being asked to trust one. Elara did not interrupt. One by one, different delegates activated their speaking rights. A tall crystalline being spoke first. If the human border collapses, our outer colonies fall next. Protection may slow them. Another delegate responded, or it may weaken them. They have already faced this enemy alone. A military commander added, their fleet strength is significant. Forcing supervision could trigger resistance. The chamber filled with careful, controlled arguments. No one wanted to admit fear, but it was there. Finally, an elder delegate who had served for over 400 cycles spoke in a quiet voice. When humans first joined the council, we described them as chaotic. He paused. Perhaps we misunderstood the meaning of chaos. The chamber listened. Chaos is not always destruction, he continued. Sometimes, it is change. Varric remained silent. The elder delegate turned toward Elara. You prepared alone because you believed we would dismiss your warning. Elara answered honestly. Yes. And if we had listened? We would have prepared together. The simple answer moved through the room like a current. Varric stepped down from his platform and walked closer to the center. This was unusual. Chancellors did not often leave their position during formal votes. He stopped in front of Elara. You laugh at our protection, he said quietly. Elara met his eyes. I laughed because you believed we were fragile. Varric studied her expression. You are not fragile. No, she agreed. We are adaptable. The unknown fleet projection flickered again as new energy spikes appeared in the data. Time was not waiting. Varric turned back toward the chamber. The protection order was meant to maintain control, he said. He hesitated. But perhaps control is not what this moment requires. Silence followed. The voting system reactivated. A new motion appeared above the chamber floor. Protection order, reconsideration vote. One by one, lights began to change. Green turned to neutral. Neutral shifted to red. The chamber watched in complete silence. The final tally appeared. Protection order, revoked. A quiet wave of relief passed through the room, though no one cheered. Varric faced Elara again. Earth remained sovereign. Elara inclined her head slightly. But, Varric continued, we request joint defense coordination. Elara's answer came without delay. You will have our data. Our warnings. Our cooperation. She paused. But we will remain free. Varric gave a small nod. For now, he said. Elara allowed herself the faintest smile. That is all humanity ever asks. The hologram of the unknown fleet remained hovering in the darkness. The galaxy was still in danger. But something had shifted. The council no longer saw humans as reckless children. They saw them as a frontier. As the session closed, transmissions spread across thousands of star systems. The vote to control Earth had failed. Instead, the galaxy would prepare beside it. Back on Earth, leaders received the news quietly. The hidden fleets remained active along the dark border. Engineers worked without celebration. Soldiers stayed at their stations. There was no victory party. Because humanity had never been fighting for pride. Only for the right to choose its own future. Far beyond council space, in the silent dark between stars, unknown ships continued to gather. They did not care about politics. They did not care about votes. But now, when they arrived, they would not face a divided galaxy. They would face one that had finally understood a simple truth. Humans did not need protection. They were already becoming the shield.